Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave, and today's build and play guide is on the Oland. This is currently on in the shop right now. I believe it is on a discount. Yeah, 20% there. So I figured this would be as good of a time to kind of do a guide on it. Now, because we use Swirsky for our radar line, we are using Ericsson for this line, and we're using Eric Bay, Jersey Swirsky. His base trait is Thunderbolt, along with Contact is in a minute. Look at me now, Perceptive, and also Sheltered Arms because you don't have a smoke. This is actually really handy. This is a very handy trait to have. Mordoff has it for the Americans as well, and I do really like this trait. And obviously unstoppable here for the better reduced mobility when your engine or rudder is disabled. So for our upgrades, we're using aiming systems mod 1. The propulsion mod is always in the second slot, along with the concealment mod in the third slot. Now, you do have an 8% engine boost, which is handy, and repair and a heal, which makes this thing pretty unique. In some ways, there's not a lot of destroyers, especially at tier 6, that have heals. And actually, it's not a bad heal for the what it is. It kind of catches you off guard on how good it is. You do have also defensive AA as well. So your specs pretty run of the mill for a destroyer for the most part. The big thing here is you don't have smoke. You're kind of trading that heal for a smoke. The smoke, not having a smoke makes you play this ship much different than a lot of destroyers because you can't really bail out of situations, right? Like you can't disengage very well. You have 14th of 1,000 health. You have 4 guns that reload every 2.5 seconds, so it's a very quick reload, and they do pretty good damage. Like, for what they are, the DPM on this thing is not bad at all. But these shells are very lofty, and they can be tough to aim, especially at another destroyer. Torps, you do have 2 racks of 3 for 6 of them, meaning you have enough to use. They're not very powerful, but they are quick, and you can catch people off guard with them. Again, these aren't going to hurt very much, but to a destroyer, that could be the difference in a gunfight. If you get them out where you think a destroyer is and then engage with them. Defensive AA, not terrible for a destroyer, but also probably not going to save your butt. Maneuverability, 35 knot, so it's not overly quick by any means. Turning circle's good and the rudder's good. Outside of the top speed, which isn't bad but isn't great, this thing is pretty good. Concealment at 5-1. Stats, you can see we've only had a couple games in this, but I have played this line, and this ship feels like a lot of the rest of the line in a lot of ways. But a few things to note there. Main gun accuracy at 20/8%. These shells are very lobby. They may be some of the lobbiest in the entire game, to be honest with you. So it can be a real tough to go ahead and try to use these on far distance battles with destroyers, which kind of makes it a little bit tough to use because you need to be kind of doing that in order to disengage when you need to. But you can see we've done okay in it. Nothing spectacular, right? Like, we've done okay. But I do have a match to showcase this thing pretty well, I think, in a very good fashion. Now, for your armor, you're 20 all the way around like most destroyers. Again, you don't need to, you're in a destroyer, you don't want to take unnecessary hits if you don't need to. As we start the match, it's disclaimer time. This is a beginner's video meant to help people new to the ship or new to the game. This is not meant for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. There are multiple ways to play and build this ship, and I am an above average player. Not the world's best. I make mistakes. You may see one in this match. You didn't come here for pronunciations. I'm as good as anybody at slaughtering beautiful languages all the time. Now, with that out of the way, we're on Warrior's Path. We're bottom tier, and also you have to understand, if you didn't look, there's an enemy division of destroyers, which I have no problems going up against divisions, but you have to be careful, and especially when right now I'm located, meaning they're probably decent destroyer players, right? They're probably not awful. So, knowing that in this ship there's going to be 2 destroyers up against me, I have got to be careful, right? I can't just blindly rush in and take one out. Normally I'm pretty aggressive. I'll go right at another destroyer a lot of times. But in this case, it's going to be 2 people probably communicating. I have to be careful. So we're going to put them torps out just to send them out over there, because that's a lot of times people will kind of cross over. And then we're going to start to turn our ship here a little bit here in a second. Reason being is if torps start to come my way, I need to make sure I make myself as skinny as possible and I'm not just sitting broadside in the entire cap, right? And with having propulsion mod, it does give me an opportunity to dodge them, but you can see here. Also, you're going to see me zoom in sometimes, and that's to check distances. For example, I know I can back up and probably be okay and not spotted. Now we have another issue here. Our teammates are all leaving our flank, right? And there's a Flounder here and 2 destroyers up against me. So I have to be super careful. The secondaries of Flounder are no joke. They're accurate. And also, the other, without having backup myself up against 2 destroyers, if I get too aggressive here, it could be a very, very tough, right? Like, we put ourselves in a very bad spot. And that's what you have to do with this ship. Is it a bad ship? No, I don't think so at all. I like it. It just has a little bit higher skill ceiling. As you can see, I'm trying to guess where that destroyer is. And with Flounder pushing up, I have to back up. And I'm glad I did, because I almost got spotted right there. He was almost close enough to spot me. And my torps, while not perfect, they were in a good general direction. To be honest, I probably should have put more out on Flounder. But we are going to hit Flounder with a torp. And it's going to be... it is a permanent flood, but you can see we didn't do a whole lot with the initial damage, and these things don't flood a whole lot normally. But we're going to be careful here. We want to wait till the Flounder is kind of down and hurt, or gone, before we actually go ahead and start to push up. I know I'm giving them the cap right now, but there's not much I can do about it, right? A secondary ship and 2 destroyers against you is not an easy thing to go up against when you don't have a way to disengage, right? If I start losing really bad, I don't have that ability. Also, you can see here we get spotted. There is Akizuki, so he is running definitely detection, which is good because... it's good I backed off. Here we've been trying to... we lost our destroyer because these cruisers were pushing in and did a good job of getting rid of our destroyer. You could see I was going to go finish off the last of that destroyer. So now here you can see we don't have a single cap, right? So I have to start worrying about cap control. And I'm guessing Akizuki was going for the A cap to get some free points. So I'm thinking, well, Flounder's gone now. Let me get this A cap to stop the bleeding. Then I will go after these destroyers. Because right now, we're in a tough spot. They have both of their destroyers. They have all the caps. We might have points, but that ain't going to last very long when they have all 3 caps. So we're going to push up. And I kind of expected one of these guys to be here to defend this cap. So you can see I'm being very careful here. And I'm also at the same time trying to let our battleship know where they are. So again, when I'm a destroyer, I try to ping where the other destroyers are, if I do know, right? Like you can't really know all the time, but you can try. And the big thing with this ship, and you're going to see this here in a minute, is switching to HE to AP. The HE is definitely, I feel, stronger, but there's times where the AP, you can do some significant damage, and you're going to see that here a little bit in this match. You can see I'm kind of keeping an eye out of where these ships are. We see D7s running away. I feel like I kind of, once I get this cap, I can kind of go in because I feel like I have more help on this side than my teammates do, but I would like to get this cap. As you can see, I am now spotted by the Z71, and you're going to see here, we get unlucky on our first salvo, but we did 1,000 with our first. We switched to AP, and you can see there's 1,800, right? Every 2.5 seconds, 1,800. If you can get that off, pretty good, right? And when there, we did some more. Again, like AP in the right circumstances, even on destroyers, is really good to go. You can see most of our shots we're actually getting full pens on. And you're going to see I switch over to HE once we started to get a few other ones. Now, he does smoke up, and we did get our heal, but you can see, even now, you can see our next heal, how much it can heal back. And that's really kind of an interesting strong suit with this ship, is the heal. So right here, I'm asking for the P-Bag's help, and by golly, he radars. What a legend, man. And when he does, I'm getting ready, and there we go. We're going to start shooting, and you're going to see I'm going to struggle to hit this guy a little bit because these shells are just, he's only 6 kilometers away. It's not like he's halfway across the map. And these shells can be real tough to hit. Right? So we're going to get our cap. Now we're going to go ahead and try to get rid of Z70 or Z31 and try to take on these destroyers head on, right? That's like the big thing. We've done a big amount of damage to them so far. We're going to try to get our guns, which is nice too, because these are that back gun is 360 degrees, meaning it's kind of always there. You see it's already back on target, so we didn't have to wait much. And we almost here, as you can see, we get one more hit. We almost kill off the Z73, but now I know where both the destroyers are. And honestly, we could kind of trap these guys in a little bit. And again, I need to stop the bleeding of points, because you can see how much the points has swung since then. And we're going to throw out some more torpedoes, even though these torpedoes aren't super amazing. You know, for power, you catch somebody, you know, it still helps your fight. And you can see Z31 kind of walked into our cruiser a little bit, and we're going to try to get rid of them, help get rid of them. And as you can see, our cruiser does get rid of them. And Akazuki, you can see here, he's got himself kind of in a pickle as well now, and we're just going to try to finish him off. So even up against a division of 2 destroyers, both of which are solid destroyers, we did pretty well, even in the circumstances we had. So now, again, it's about cap control, and all of a sudden, it looks like we have much more likelihood of winning this game, right? And I felt like being patient in the right moments and being careful in this ship, because you do have to disengage, right? And without having smoke, it's harder to do that. You just got to be a little bit more careful in this ship, right? Can you get rid of another destroyer than shoot your guns off the entire game? Absolutely, you can have some really good damage games that way, especially with the fire chance of the ship. But until you get rid of all the other destroyers, in my opinion, that should be always your focus. And honestly, the DPM is pretty solid on this thing. See, now we have the destroyers gone. We can be a little bit more free with what we do. As I'm looking around, and we're going to start taking some shots here at D7. But, like I said, you can definitely gunboat like a madman in this, in the theory of like shooting other targets. But I feel like until you really get rid of all the other destroyers with a lot of ships, I feel like you should be very careful to not lose your health because you may need it in a destroyer battle, right? And we're going to do our best to dodge. And this is where the lofty shells don't hurt as much, is against a cruiser or battleship. And you can see I'm loading AP now and doing damage. And I am trying to get as much as I can off. You can see we're doing pretty good little chunks to that cruiser, right? You know, like, don't be afraid to switch over to your AP in this thing. Like, a lot of ships, I feel you should switch AP to HE. Definitely, there's always one that you should lean more into on a particular ship. But given the right opportunity, you can Citadel ships. And actually, I probably should have went for a Citadel in that part. Now, here you can see he's actually angled away. Now you're going to see a little bit more issues with the kitiness here. We're going to switch to HE here, I believe. Yep, as you can see, there we go to HE. And you can see we're kind of a struggle to hit him a little bit. I mean, that's only 9 kilometers, and these things are lofting like to the moon. So, all things considered, as we go ahead and finish off this game here, we're going to fast forward to the end instead of trying to chase down that cruiser. But you can see, solid ship. You just got to be a little bit more careful in it. Otherwise, it's a fun boat to play. But you can see here, a solid game. Maybe not the best score here, but we did what we had to win in the ship. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time, folks. Have a good one.